First of all, I'd just like to start by saying thank you for all of the support over these past 6 months. It is a blessing to be here to share at least a little bit of what these past 6 months have looked like for me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Karsten, and I grew up in Silver City, attending the White Pine United Methodist Church. I'm 20 years old, and last year I was kind of at a crossroad in my life when I heard about Youth with a Mission, YWAM. Last spring, I found YWAM Naples Fall Mission Program, and I decided I wanted to apply. I was accepted about a month after I had applied, and I took a leap of faith, having no idea exactly what I was getting into. All I knew for certain that this is where God was calling me to be, and He had orchestrated it perfectly for me to get there. The program lasted about 6 months, and in those 6 months, my entire life was changed. I've learned more about what it means to have a real relationship with God and how to live that out every day. My team and I were involved in several different ministries all over Europe. Each of them was unique in its own way, and each one taught me something new about who God is and who I am in Him. I learned that what He wants more than anything is to have a real, life-giving relationship with every single one of us. The layout of this course is half practical learning, and the other half is applying that knowledge to the mission field. When I signed up for this specific program, we went in knowing that we'd be spending the first half of our practical stage in Florida and the second in Norway, and our outreach would be in the Caribbean. When we got to Florida, our leaders asked us to get together as a team and pray about if that's where God really wanted us to go. Almost immediately, we felt that God was telling us to cross out the Caribbean altogether and go to Europe instead, focusing on the refugee ministry that's going on there. So that's what we did. We started off in Austria, staying a week doing street evangelism. We were able to see several people led to Christ, and we were even able to baptize someone in the bathtub of where we were staying. Our next stop was Ukraine, and our focus there was orphan ministry. We were there for 9 days and went to different orphanages every day. It really gave us a chance to love on these kids and let them know that there are people in the world that would go to an entirely new country just to show them that they are loved. Most importantly, we were able to bring the love and joy that Jesus has to offer, and we had to leave, but we got to leave that with them. Our third stop was Lesbos, a small island in Greece where we planned to spend the majority of our outreach. We were there for a little over a month, and in that month, we worked 5 to 6 days a week in a refugee camp, 9 hours a day. This is the place where my life was really forever changed. The camp was originally a Greek prison, but when the refugee crisis hit a few years ago, they needed somewhere to bring the refugees and to house them. So they transformed the prison and turned it into a camp, and it was set up to hold about 1,500 people, but while we were there, it had anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 people at a time. And they're all just living in camping tents all year round, no matter what the weather. The first week that we were there, I was helping a man from another team do a census of one of the sections. We had been out for hours already, and there was a kind Iraqi woman who had noticed that, so she invited us into our tent for some tea and cookies. This was the first family that I met when I was there, and the first family that I was really able to sit and talk with. They had the most precious little boy. He was 6 years old, and his name was Perez. When I met the woman and she invited us in, he grabbed my hand, pulling me to follow his mom. Perez didn't just grab my hand, but he grabbed my heart. As we sat in the tent talking, he never let go of me. He was constantly covering my cheek in kisses, and he was drawing with me on the notebook that I had. He was so intelligent and brought such a joy to not only that tent, but into the camp itself. After I met him, I would find myself running into him everywhere I went. I was always greeted with a smile and a playful laugh. He'd give me a hug, and then he'd run off to play with his friends again. The next week, there was a gas cooking explosion, and it killed Perez instantly. His mother and other smaller brother were severely burned, and his grandma had also passed away, leaving only the father and the grandfather unharmed, physically, of course. This made everything so much more real to me. God gave me the honor of meeting this family so that I would know the importance of intentional time and love spent on people, and to be able to understand a little better why we should take full advantage of these moments. This series of events even brought to light the fact that these people are never truly escaping the war that they've worked so long and hard to flee. Even though they are out of the actual war zone, the war is still going on in their hearts as they strive for a better and a safer life. They wait in this camp indefinitely for the day they get their papers to leave. For some of them, they could be in this camp for over a year. The sad truth is that even when they are able to leave, they move on to a new country, having nothing to start with, and are placed in the low-income areas in the most unsafe places of the cities. Places that are obviously unsafe for adults, but even more so for children. Like I just mentioned, the war is never ending for them, and it really breaks my heart. For me, this is one of the hardest things I've had to deal with since coming home. Oftentimes, we don't realize how special the little things in life are, and how we take them for granted. The fact that we live in freedom and that we don't have to wait in several hour-long lines just to eat. We get to go home at night to a comfortable bed with a roof over our heads, and that is something so many people in the world cannot say today. The people I met in the refugee camp are truly the kindest, most passionate, and loving people group I have ever met. They are generous and loyal to not only each other, but to also all of the volunteers who are giving their time to be there. The living situation that they are put in is so much more or less than ideal. But when we look through our spiritual eyes that the Lord has given us, you see the beauty of what is going on below the surface. You see the transformation in the hearts of those who have lived so long without knowing Christ. You witness firsthand the joy and hope that are instilled in their hearts when they really learn who Jesus is and how great his love is for them. These are the people whose families have been Muslim for generation after generation, never knowing that God is alive today, constantly pursuing and constantly loving every one of his children. But that's all changing now. People are being shaken out of countries that have been closed to Christianity for centuries, and they are meeting Jesus. They are meeting Jesus because of people like you and me who are obeying God's call to go out into the nations and into our own communities, making him known and spreading his love to every person that we meet, regardless their background, their religious or non-religious beliefs. A man from Iraq stood up at Thanksgiving dinner, and he started to tell his testimony of his experience getting to the camp and what it's been like living there. He spoke for a while, and he had us all in tears. But the most profound and heart-touching thing that he said was that this refugee camp was his favorite place on the earth because this is where he met Jesus. I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty amazing how God works, and all of these people who never knew him are meeting him on a tiny island in Greece. This just goes to show even more the love the Lord has for us and how he is constantly pursuing us every day. Our last two stops were Athens, Greece, and Paris, France. Our focus again was to reach out to people through street evangelism and to have the opportunity to pray for the women that we meet who are being human trafficked through several different countries. It's not a lie to say that the enemy is at work in the world, and he's the one in authority of most people's lives today. But we can find peace in the blessed assurance that our Lord and Savior has already won the victory. All he's waiting for is all of his people to have the opportunity to hear him and know him. I've only seen a little bit about what God has in store for me, and I'm so excited to see what else he has up his sleeve. Time after time, he has proven to be faithful and has led me to things that are far greater than my dreams. I've developed this real relationship with him, and he's been waiting for me to let him take me down this road of fulfillment and joy. He wants to do this for all of us. He wants to take us on these life-giving, these life-changing roads through our lives, and he wants everyone to know this. But how can people know that if they don't know him? That's why in 2017 and in 2018, I'm making it a goal of mine to reach out into the nations and to love the people and introduce them to Jesus. I'd love for all of you to partner with me on this journey of spreading the love of Jesus Christ into all the corners of the world. God has called me into full-time mission work, and I'll be going back to my YWAM base in Florida in April to go through a series of leadership training courses so I can be fully equipped to be a part of the group leading a team into the world this year. Going full-time into mission work is an unpaid, full-time job. What I'm asking you today is that you would join me on this journey, that you will keep me and my team in your prayers, and I am also looking for monthly supporters. My expenses have been calculated at $1,500 per month. This includes all of my housing, travel, and food for the next 2 years as I go into mission work. Please prayerfully consider what amount you could take on to help partner with me as I continue on the path God has called me to. Every little bit helps. I have heart for mission cards on the back table that have my contact information on them. You can pull them apart and keep the top half to magnet onto your fridge as a reminder what God is doing in and through me and what you are a part of. If you want to receive monthly newsletters, there's also a box you could check for that, and you can just drop it in the Heart for Mission box on the table. We're holding a fundraiser at the White Pine United Methodist Church on March 5th from 11 to 2. It's a pancake breakfast, and there will be great food and fellowship, and I will also have more photos available to show you from my time on outreach. I invite all of you to join us there. I am always so grateful for your prayers, and I ask that you keep them coming as I take this next step of faith into the waters unknown. My team and I will be keeping all of you in our prayers as well. Thank you so much for letting me share with you today, and I hope it touched your heart in some way.